Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review Episode 344. We do have a new episode of the anime today, episode 1101, and that is The Strongest Form of Humanity, the Seraphim's Abilities. And also, for the first time in a month, we have a brand new chapter. I have heard the reason why that the writer took a break for a month because of Kurita's passing. That was the reason for it. Yes, so in this particular episode, it adapts almost the entirety of chapter 1007, except for the last 2 pages. You're like, really? All but the last two? Now, you better thinking, wait, are you saying like all but two? Well, the cover is an actual story. So, but that relates to something else. Now, in my announcement before I go to the episode, so instead of doing a recap episode, what they should have done, and I've been begging Toei basically to do this for quite a while, adapt their two really good story arcs you could adapt for the cover stories. You've done before, where you basically had where cover stories were adapted for a couple of different stories because it relates to stuff in the anime. These two, I think, should be adapted. One is Gang Benja's Oh My Family. The other one's German 66 Ah and Emotionless Incursion. These two should be adapted. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. So, in this episode, well, like last time where Sunohamaru, he gets wounded by Rob Lucci and Luffy goes frickin' nuts. We also see Jinbei and Chopper running, getting to someplace. By the way, we do see, well, the clones, the Seraphim clones of Jinbei, Batamakuma, and Hawkeye Mihawk and Bala Hancock all in action this episode, using ability. Now, in the case of Bala Hancock one, she uses the same abilities as the woman she's a clone of. Hawkeye Mihawk uses his own, like, the duplicate sword, the slice of stuff like he does. And, of course, Bear uses basically Kuma's ability with the Paw proof. Jinbei used ability is used by different users. I'll get back to that. So, Luffy is, like, going frickin' nuts. He's, like, beating up Rob Lucci. At one point, he's, like, spinning like crazy on a whip. Goes to the ground, comes up, and his head sticks up on the ground. Like, what? Seriously. It's like he goes like it apparently looks like Luffy in his giant head form. It's about to eat Rob Lucci. And then Luffy just picks this up, eats some of the ground, some pieces in the ground, and just spits right at him. It's an absolute hilarious sequence. So Nara basically tries to get up, tells Luffy he's trusted with Punk, and that's it for him the whole episode. Meanwhile, though, when S Shark, aka the GMA clone, starts swimming in the ground, Frankie basically calls out Vegapunk for apparently stealing the ability that belonged to Senior Pink. This is the first time Senior Pink is mentioned since the end of Dressrosa. Of course, he calls him a sworn brother. He thinks he might be dead. And Vegapunk's like, no, he's perfectly fine. He's in prison at Bell Down. Which, that is something, given the fact this is probably the first time that name has been mentioned in a long time. I think the last time officially was mentioned was probably during the events of Wano. That's where the prison last appeared, but the name itself probably is not mentioned in quite some time. So, yeah, and of course, kind of a little recap later on in the episode of, well, Vegapunk's time with Frankie. But I do appreciate, though, also the fact that when we actually have Jinbei calling the basically S Snake, aka the Hancock clone, calling her a kinder version of Hancock. In the manga, you call her a nice version of Hancock. And she's blushing, and she actually is talking. Yes, she is talking. You're thinking, wait, a Seraphim talks? That's strange. I thought Kuma was going to do that. Well, they do explain also in the episode about the whole thing that all these particular Seraphim are basically the strongest of humanity, and the fact that they have duplicated different powers. And also they got green blood. Yes, Vegapunk actually created artificial blood for these things. Yep, great episode. Oh, by the way, there's a hilarious sequence where you have Jinbei, Chopper, Atlas, Bonnie. Luffy gets there just nick of time, flies around and they rocket. Luffy's like turning old man, and then they get to a stop, and of course they're on lockdown. End of the episode. It's a great episode overall. I can't wait for next week. Let's now talk about this new chapter manga. Excuse me. Chapter 1112. Hard Aspects. The cover is Kinamaru with Yamato. Ogre Child Yamato, Golden Heart Surrogate, Pilgrimage, Volume 3. You can have that part in gift, Yamato, as long as you do something for me. Always great to see Yamato. She's a great character. Yes, and Michelle Rusher, who voiced in the dub, did an excellent job voicing her. So picking up basically where, this all the past defeats Mark III have been neutralized, and of course the 5 older idiots are still trying to go after Bonnie. The Giants fight him too, and then Jinbei takes out one of the Admirals. Actually, yeah, it's one of the Admirals. I think it is. I think it's one of the Admirals with a strong right. Bonnie comes in and hits one of the Admirals too. It says, "My daddy is here, Chin Man. Don't come, weapon." Yep, that's funny. And Vegapunk is still basically trying his message like, "Oh yeah, coffee's ready. Be ready in a minute." And of course, by the way, I spoiled a little bit of the ending. They're trying to the 5 older idiots are trying to stop the message going out. So basically, they want to. Well, York tries to stop him from running a lab. Like, no, you need all this stuff. I'll stop it, of course. If I add crime upon crime, it make it hard to get along with you folks. Yeah? This is the voice of a small creature in Punk Records. Is that Transformers now? Tell me how to get in. Yep, and Sauce decides to stay behind. This five actually betrays CP0. Yep. And of course, Edison, Lilith, and most of the Straw Hats. Oh, by the way, for the Straw Hats, Zoro and Brooke are not in the episode. You're probably thinking, did Toei cut them out? No. They just were not there. Yeah, and of course, then they mention, oh yeah, Kuda Burst is ready, and of course, someone on board. Edison jumps off, and there's an explosion happen. Hopefully, he's not killed. And then I think one of the elder idiots is trying to just suck everybody. And Dorian Broggy with Luffy trying to get back. Luffy's like, I'm tired. What's this? What happened, Straw? You turned into some strange old man. Run out of food power. Need food? How about some hatro? Blah. Smell that. It's fragmented shark emergency rations from Elbath. Tastes good when you're used to it. He just gets muscles. Oh, he back to old you. It's so funny. And then he hits one of the elder idiots with a red rock. How hard is that thing? And of course, Saturn tries to come up. What's that thing coming? Who's that? And then one of them has basically made it to where this Transformer Snail is, and in the chapter. Yeah, absolute fantastic chapter. Love it. Give it a 10 out of 10. Okay, so that's episode of you. Next up we have is a Comic Corner. There may or may not be time to work on Blue Exodus, but it depends. Okay, next view. Bye.